Candidate Forum 2012 is sponsored by Potash Corp., helping nature provide, and by Haven Hospice, honoring life by providing comfort, care, and compassion to those we serve. Also by Drawdy Insurance Services, your local trusted choice agent for all your home, auto, and business insurance needs. And by Tommy Demas, attorney at law. If you've been injured in an accident, call Tommy. He's one of the good guys, and he'll take care of you.
Welcome back to the third segment of Candidate Forum 2012. I'm Mike McKee, the Executive Director of Media and Public Information here at Florida Gateway College and a member of the Chamber's Government Relations Committee. Tonight's forum is a joint production of the Chamber of Commerce, the Lake City Reporter, and Florida Gateway College. The rules for this segment of the night with the candidates for Circuit Judge Group 5 are that each candidate will be given a chance to make a 2-minute opening statement and a 2-minute closing statement. Each candidate then is afforded 2 minutes to answer each of our questions this evening. Let's get started by meeting the two candidates for Circuit Judge Group 5. We have with us Jimmy Prevatt and Wes Douglas. We drew numbers prior to coming into the studio this evening, and candidate Prevatt drew the number 1. Mr. Prevatt, you have 2 minutes to make an opening statement.
Hi, folks. My name is Jimmy Prevatt, and I'm an attorney over in Live Oak, Florida. I've been practicing over in Live Oak for 29 years. I'm originally from Suwannee County, and as soon as I got out of law school, I couldn't wait to get back to the Third Circuit. My family was all from McAlpin down there, and everybody enjoyed it, and we were trying to get back to Suwannee County roots as quickly as we could. I'm a litigator, folks. After 29 years in the courtroom, it's all I've done. I've spent my entire career in the courtroom. I've handled thousands of cases that have ranged from small business claims, insurance claims, up to multi-million-dollar products liability claims. I've handled cases that have been in 7 different states around the southeastern United States, over 150 jury trials. For my bar association, I was elected president of the Third Circuit Bar by my peers. That's legal experience. But folks, I don't believe that legal experience is all that a circuit judge is about. I believe it's also about life experiences. Life experiences that you take and the wisdom that you have, then you apply to the cases that come before you. Folks, I've been married for 27 years. I've raised 3 kids, and the youngest one just turned 20 years old. Living through the teenage years. If that doesn't teach you life lessons, I don't know what does. I'm a member of Westwood Baptist Church. I've served on their personnel committee and on their finance committee, and I sing in the choir. And believe me, when I sing in the choir, it is strictly just a joyful noise. But I've also tried to serve my community by being a member of Kiwanis for over 25 years. I'm on the chamber board in Suwannee County. I'm now the current attorney for the Suwannee County Development Authority, trying to bring business. Folks, I've worked with kids, coached kids from rec, high school, and soccer level. I'm about community, life experiences. That, along with legal experiences, makes me qualified and prepared to be your next circuit judge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prevatt. It's time now for candidate Douglas to make a 2-minute opening statement. The floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Wes Douglas, and I'm your candidate in Group 5 Circuit Judge. I am married to Haley Witt Douglas. We have a son, Hunter Douglas, and we are a Christian family. I want you to know that I'm somebody that you can be comfortable with, somebody that you can be confident with if elected as your next circuit judge. I believe in being a person of character and integrity, and that's the kind of person that you need to hear your case. I request that you ask anyone that knows me about my reputation, and I believe that they'll tell you that I'm someone that you can have faith and confidence in. A little bit about my professional experience. I'm a partner at the law firm of Foreman, McInnes & Douglas. We're a general practice. That means I essentially have handled any type of case that could come before me if elected as your circuit judge. Notably, I have recent civil jury trial experience, and I am currently practicing full-time. Now, the law requires 5 years of legal experience before one can run for circuit judge. I exceed that qualification by several years. But experience, life experience, legal experience, those aren't the only issues in this race. We have to look deeper. If those were the only issues in this race, we would simply elect the more experienced, the older attorney. Well, why don't we do that? Because things like character and integrity, they matter. In this race, I urge you to talk to everyone that knows the candidates personally, and then you be the judge. Here are the facts. 6 of the last several judges elected in this circuit who are now retiring after 30 years or more of service were younger and less experienced than I am. I humbly ask for your support and vote in this primary election. I look forward to speaking with you further.
Thank you very much. It's time now for the question and answer segment of the broadcast. And to ask the questions again tonight in the third segment is the editor of the Lake City Reporter, Robert Bridges. Robert?
Thanks, Mike. We'll start with Mr. Prevatt. Mr. Prevatt, what is your opinion of mandatory minimum sentencing laws in Florida?
Well, folks, judges are really not allowed to comment upon matters that could actually come before them. However, I'm reminded that the mandatory sentencing guidelines were actually done to be a criminal deterrent. As a criminal deterrent, you remember the old saying, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Well, that was supposed to be a deterrent. But I think what's happened in these cases is that there has been some unintended consequences. As a trial lawyer, I've seen other legislation where there were unintended consequences. Sometimes they end up just being things like a little tax loophole, but sometimes they can be more serious, like in some products liability cases I've been involved in. Unintended legislation took away liability for a bad product that injured folks. Again, folks, as a judge, I have to do, and I will uphold the law, whatever the legislature makes it. However, I do believe that a judge should have some discretion in giving out criminal sentences. That's why we have pre-sentence investigations. However, it is a legislative matter, and I would defer to the legislation to let them look at the law and to see whether or not it was actually a problem underlying the law, or whether it was just an isolated incident that has come out to be a perceived bad result. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prevatt. Mr. Douglas, same question. What is your opinion, to the degree within the Code of Ethics that you're allowed to discuss matters of this sort, what is your opinion within those guidelines of mandatory minimum sentencing laws in the state of Florida?
Well, first off, I have to tell you that I cannot legislate from the bench, and if the legislature does come down with a law, I have to follow that law. I'm not sure under the canon, Judicial Canon number 7, I'm not sure to the extent that I can answer that question, and I'd rather let that question lie.
That's fair. Let's stay with Mr. Douglas for question number 2. Mr. Douglas, what makes you a better choice for circuit judge than your opponent?
Well, I've been a candidate, as an attorney, when I was sworn in, I have done nothing but serve as an attorney. It's the only occupation, it's the only profession that I have practiced, and I believe that sets me apart. It shows my commitment to the law. Now, I also believe that my reputation sets me apart. I'm in this race because I was contacted by several citizens, several attorneys who asked that I run, and that's why I'm here. And I want you to know that this election is not only about experience, but it's about character and quality of the person. And I think the voters really need to look deep here and make a sound choice, sound judgment. I also want to bring to light that our circuit in our area, the viewing area, has a history of electing good people to these positions. Not necessarily the oldest person, but quality persons. So this race is not about only experience, it's about quality and character of the person. I'm also a candidate that has a history of making good decisions, not only in the courtroom, but outside the courtroom. I know we hear in the presidential election, the presidential nominees recently have discussed disclosure of certain records. And I think it's interesting because I can tell you that my life, it's an open book. I filed my financial disclosure, and it's there for everyone to see, and I welcome them to review my financial disclosure and decide if I've made the kind of choices that they would expect in a circuit judge.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Mr. Prevatt, same question. What makes you the better choice in this race?
Mr. Bridges, viewers out there, I'm the more experienced candidate here. You heard Mr. Douglas say in his opening statement that he recently had his first jury trial experience. Folks, a circuit court judge is your trial judge. It is the one that's going to be handling all the cases for any felony that's going to be sentenciable at 1 year and above. Any matter that's going to involve $15,000 or more is going to be heard by the circuit judge. Mr. Douglas doesn't have that experience. I've been doing it for 29 years. All I've done is been in the courtroom doing it for 29 years. Folks, I believe to be a circuit judge, a lawyer goes through and he works hard for a number of years. He tries cases. He has experience inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom. He takes all of those experiences and it creates the wisdom that he's gained over all of these years. After all of that time, then he culminates his career as a judge. He doesn't start out his career as a circuit judge or take it as a stepping stone. That's why I'm the more qualified candidate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll stick with you for the next question. Do you have any specific fields of or areas of expertise outside the law that would be helpful as a judge?
Well, folks, my father is a builder-developer over in Jacksonville now. I was raised in the construction business, and going through my practice of law, I have tried to utilize that experience, in forming my practice. But that type of experience also moved into other things. I was in med school for a year before I went on to law school. The experience of being in med school also helped along in the practice. Those are the types of things that I think have been outside influences. I've been in business. Some business I've done, I've been successful, some not so successful. But that's what the School of Hard Knocks is all about. And I think that experience, good and bad, all helps you along whenever you're looking to seek this position. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Douglas, same question. Do you have any specific areas of expertise outside the law that might be helpful as a judge?
Well, I've dedicated my life to the law. Certainly we can't call mowing lawns like I did in undergrad an expertise, but I certainly think that those hard times, those times when you work to pay for school, you work to pay for room and board, those shape who you are. And I've had a broad range of different jobs before becoming an attorney. But since becoming an attorney, I have only been an attorney. I've dedicated my life to being an attorney, and I look forward to serving the public.
Thank you. We'll stay with Mr. Douglas. A circuit judge handles a wide range of cases: criminal, civil, family court. Anything you can imagine will be thrown at you. Are there any areas of the law in which you feel less well-versed, less comfortable than others?
Certainly, I think that there's too many areas of law for one person to say they are an expert in all. But if elected as your judge, we can have what's called a mentor judge. Show you the ropes, and you can request the chief judge put you in those courts that you're more comfortable in until you become comfortable. In addition to that, there is what they call Judge College. And in January, the winner of Me or Miss Prevatt will go on to judge school. And just when you think you got it under control, they send you another time. So they're going to send us 2 times. But yes, there are areas that I may not be as familiar with, but like any good attorney, I will be able to study on the law and make those sound, just decisions according to the law.
Mr. Prevatt, same question. Are there any areas of the law in which you simply aren't as strong as in others?
Yes, sir. Most of my practice has been general civil litigation. Like I said, ranging from business cases all the way up to large products liability cases. I wouldn't say that I've only had minor experience in the criminal law, but I would like to point out to our viewers here, Florida jurisprudence is what us lawyers, we refer to typically as the Bible of all of the law going across there. There are 99 volumes of Florida jurisprudence, but when you get right down to it, there are only 9 volumes that deal with criminal law, where my weakness is. I'm not saying that I know it all across the board, but from the experience that I have, especially working with products liability cases. You get in and you have to learn, and you will get in here and have to learn the law. Like Mr. Douglas said, they're going to send us to school to be able to do. But being used to having to each product's liability case go in and learn a product from top to bottom, how it's manufactured, how it went through the process, and what the actual problems are that ended up causing an injury, is a big, wide study. And I believe that I have the capabilities to be able to continue to do each of that and be a wide study and learn that criminal law, which I think is my weakness.
Thank you. We'll stick with you, Mr. Prevatt. The docket for a circuit judge is generally quite crowded. What do you think could be done to ease congestion in the courts, in the Third Circuit and elsewhere?
Well, folks, I'm reminded that back in 1614, Francis Bacon, when he first was elevated to the British court, he said that fresh justice is the sweetest. And I believe that that's what we need to do, is keep things moving. I think here in the Third Circuit, we're starting to get into this electronic data management system, EDS. We need to have more of that going to be available. I think if you have the litigants involved with the cases, knowing where their cases stand, then you'll be able to move the cases faster through the system. I also believe that there are things out there that can help with the dockets. Some of those are the development of specialty courts that deal with drugs, the elderly, or domestic violence, can take some of our valuable resources and move them over into that area so that you're really trying to resolve cases without having to have incarceration, without having to cause more load on our precious resources. Finally, the last thing I would like to talk about is I believe that in our court system in general that we need to have a mentoring program for young lawyers. Young lawyers that come into the system, I know now, are forced because of the economic times of having to go out and hang up their own shingle. But when they hang up their own shingle like that, they're still not prepared to handle all types of cases. Just because you went to law school doesn't make you a good lawyer. Experience does. And I believe if we develop a program for mentoring here in the Third Circuit, that it will also help our litigants be able to move their cases along more quickly. I think all of that will contribute to being able to get our dockets a little bit cleaner and moving along a little quicker. Thank you.
Mr. Douglas, same question. What can be done to ease some of the overcrowding in the courts?
Well, certainly I think judicial economy is a must in today's economic climate. We've had budget cuts, we have fewer clerks, we have fewer court administration. So it's on the judge to facilitate the whether or not there's a criminal conviction, whether or not it's a plea offer. The judge needs to put it upon themselves to move the case along. And I think we do it already here, but the judges do meet. I believe it's once bi-weekly or once a month. And they get together to figure out the solution to those problems. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just may need to lube the wheel. And so I think that's probably the solution.
Thanks. Please describe your, for want of a better word, judicial philosophy. Mr. Douglas, please.
My judicial philosophy. Can you be more descriptive on the question, please? Please, Robert.
Interpret it any way you like.
Okay.
Open-ended.
Well, what you see is what you get with me. I'm an open book. My judicial philosophy is I will follow the law. I will follow the case law, the precedent before me. And let's see. I think judicial philosophy, that's a tough question. That encompasses every area of the legal system, but I do believe in the legal system. I do believe that we have to have confidence in the judiciary, in the judges. That's number one. So what do we need to have confidence? We need character. We need judges with character. We need judges with integrity.
Thank you very much. Mr. Prevatt, same question. Describe your judicial philosophy.
Well, I think my philosophy would be fair but firm. Folks, in a lot of different cases, it doesn't matter whether it's a criminal case, whether it's a domestic case, just a regular civil case. Everybody that comes into the courtroom, they want to be accommodated and felt like they've been treated with dignity and respect. They may not understand why you ruled against them. They may not understand why you ruled for them. But what they do want to feel like is that they came in there, they got an opportunity to present their case, they were treated fairly and with dignity and respect. Treated fairly and firmly. I believe that's what my philosophy would be.
Thank you very much, candidates. That concludes our question and answers in this segment. It's time now for each candidate to make a 2-minute closing statement, and since candidate Prevatt went first, he will go last. So, candidate Douglas, you have 2 minutes to make a closing statement to the voters of Columbia County.
Thank you. Again, I'm Wes Douglas, running for Circuit Judge Group 5, and I wanted to clear the air a little bit. I have experience in civil jury trials, and in fact, I was Judge Collins' a part of that first civil jury trial, and I was a part of Judge Johnson's first civil jury trial while they were on the bench. So let's get that fact straight. I'm not inexperienced in trial. But let's talk about what's really important. It is critical that you consider the qualities of a good judge. You have to have confidence. You need to talk to people that know the candidates personally, and then you be the judge. Change is upon us, and the voters are called upon to be the judge. We have to, and then select the candidate who has a history of integrity among his fellow attorneys. In these changing times, we need to select people on the bench who share our traditional values. This race comes down to the candidate you can trust. That you can trust every day to act in a way to protect our families, our value, and our faith. It would be an honor and a privilege to serve you as your next circuit judge. And again, my life's an open book. What you see is what you get. If you want to know about Wes Douglas, please go ask the attorneys that work with me, ask the bailiffs, ask my friends, ask my family, ask my acquaintances. And I hope they will all tell you and that they believe in me and that I could be the type of judge that you need to handle and hear your case. In closing, I'm going to leave you with a couple things. The foundation of every good judge is first a reputable person. The best indicator of future performance is past behavior. The quality of the person determines the quality of the judge. I humbly ask for your support and vote in this primary election. Now you be the judge.
Thank you very much, and we'll get our closing comments, 2 minutes worth, from candidate Prevatt. Mr. Prevatt, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I am Jimmy Prevatt, and I am running for Circuit Judge in Group 5. A vote for Jimmy Prevatt gives the voters and litigants of the Third Circuit a 54-year-old legal professional with 29 years of trial experience who is qualified and prepared to be a judge now. Voters would get a judge who has tried cases not only in the 7 counties of our circuit, but all over the southeastern United States. A man who has hunted, fished, golfed, played sports with, or coached you or your children, attended church with you, worked side by side with you in service to the community. A man who is an active part of our community and understands our community. If you've ever been in a situation where you have to go to court, don't you want to know that the presiding judge that will hear your case is experienced, that he's competent, that he knows many areas of the law, that he's handled cases on both the plaintiff's side and the defendant's side, and that he knows his way around a courtroom and how a jury trial works. Folks, I've tried to conduct my entire legal career with honesty, integrity, and dignity. It has never mattered to me what your income was, where you worked, who your parents were, where you go to church, the color of your skin, the color of your hair, or however many tattoos that you have. The law is the law, and it should be applied equally to all of us. And if you elect me as your circuit judge on August 14th, you can expect justice to be administered in my courtroom in that fashion equally, fair and firm. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to both of the candidates, and we wish both of you good luck in the upcoming election. That concludes this segment of Candidate Forum 2012. When we come back, we'll have with us the 3 candidates for Columbia County Sheriff right here in our studio. You're watching Candidate Forum on Florida Gateway College Television and on WCJX Radio. Don't go away. We'll be right back.